The M50 is one of the world's most popular vlogging cameras, and the Canon M6 Mark II is currently the leading M series Canon camera. Both of these are mirrorless, they both have compact bodies, they are both crop frame, and today we're going to pit them against each other in the review arena and hopefully help you discover which one is right for you. So jumping straight in with the sensors, both of these are APS-C crop frame sensors. The M50 has a 26 megapixel sensor versus the 34 megapixels of the M6 Mark II, which is the highest number of pixels of the M series currently. Both of these run on the Digic 8 processor. Both have 143 focus points. They both have mic inputs and built-in flashes. This one pops up and this one you kind of spring up. Does anyone ever use the flashes? Now, both of these cameras are great for photography, especially for things like YouTube thumbnails and social media use. The M50 has a built-in EVF, while the M6 Mark II has a separate electronic viewfinder made for photography enthusiasts. And it seems like Canon has two people in mind for this camera, the photography hobbyists being one and the 4K vlogger being another, which we will talk about in a second. When it comes to continuous shooting for photography, the M50 outputs up to 10 frames per second. The M6 Mark II tops out at 14 frames per second. Both of these cameras shoot in RAW and the C-RAW file format, or the compressed RAW format, which of course is very useful for your post-production work. The big differences between these two cameras, however, is the video offering. Both of these cameras come with a 4K filming option, but for the M50, you do have a crop or a zoomed in picture for your 4K. And also the DPAF or dual pixel autofocus doesn't work properly in the 4K mode. And this means that it isn't really a viable option unless you set it to manual focus. The M6 Mark II, however, has a 4K video option up to 30 frames per second with no crop. And another massive bonus here is that the DPAF, the dual pixel autofocus, works well in 4K filming mode. Another big difference here is the 120 frames per second. The M50 can shoot 120 FPS, but only at 720, while the M6 Mark II can shoot 120 frames per second at 1080, which is the same as the Canon 90D. Just bear in mind that the autofocusing system won't work for either of these cameras in these high frame rate modes, so you will have to pull focus manually. And this is a great place to mention that if you haven't done so already, don't forget to add yourself to the Kai Creative Facebook and Instagram feeds, where you can stay up to date with all of our photography sessions, video productions, short films, camera reviews, and other creative happenings. One piece of kit that I love, I talk about it all the time and have made separate videos on, is the Viltrox Speed Booster, which is an awesome add-on adapter for EF lenses on M-mount cameras. It opens both of these cameras up to legacy EF glass. It reins in the crop factor a little, and it adds an extra stop of light to your aperture. It really does open up a world of possibilities for your content creation, and if you have an M-mount camera, I strongly recommend that you check it out. Ergonomics wise, you have a flip out screen or tilting screen on the M6 Mark II, which reminds me of my very much loved G7X Mark II, versus the fully articulating screen of the Canon M50. And the issues here are actually with the M6 Mark II, particularly for your microphone placement. If you want to use a microphone, you will need to use a relocation mount to plug it in on the side somewhere. It's not expensive, but it's just faff to have to sort out. The battery life on both of these cameras is pretty poor. The M50 is rated at about 235 shots, and the M6 Mark II is rated slightly better at 305 shots. Also, just an FYI, the Mark II of the M50 is also rated at 305 shots. But using the 4K really does drain the battery on both of these cameras, so make sure you bring a couple of extra batteries when filming. An awesome function that both of these cameras have is the ability to use them as web cameras with the Canon Web app. You can connect dummy batteries to both and power them via external USB power packs, and I regularly use my M50 as a webcam. I pair it with some nice glass and it's amazing. So how much will you be looking to spend on these two Canon M mount cameras? Well, the M50, original M50, is no longer being sold as new. You can pick up a second-hand unit for around $300 to $500 in the United States, about £300 to £500 in the UK, depending on the condition and any accessories. Or you can buy the M50 Mark II, which is essentially the same camera apart from having a little better battery life, being a little lighter and having eye tracking. You can buy that new from the Canon stores for about $700 or £700 with a lens. For the M6 Mark II on the Canon US store, you can pick up a unit with the kit lens and the electronic viewfinder for $1,099, and on the UK store, the same combination is selling for £1,149. So who should consider getting which one of these Canon cameras? Well, for the Canon M50, I personally feel that this is a fantastic option to go with if you're just starting out in YouTube or content creation. It's a great introductory camera and still remains one of the most popular vlogging cameras even after 3 years. What about the M6 Mark II? Well, I'd say that for those of you who are already established content creators who want to make video, but with that higher 4K resolution, no crop factor, and DPAF, and for those of you who want to future-proof your content a little more as 4K becomes standard, then the M6 Mark II would definitely be a consideration for you. So which one of these amazing M-mount Canon cameras do you want to go for and why? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, if you found today's video useful, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that little bell for notifications. Oh crap, just like knocked them together there. So that's it from me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. All that's left to say is stay creative, stay safe, imagine, implement, and inspire. And I'll see you next time on Kai Creative.